Landmines and jellyfish, welcome back to Knives, I guess. And shouldn't the California raisins be coming out of hibernation soon? You gotta be old to get that joke, boys. So, TEMUGEDDON is upon us. And what this is the first week of the Temu edition of the Superbudget Showdown. It's season 2. Season 1, if you'd go back and take a look at that, I'd love it. That was 10 weeks of work. I had fun making it, and I would hope you'd have fun watching through it and seeing what happens. But this is season 2. And the Super Budget Showdown is my quest to find the best knife I can for $15 or less. And the ground rules are $15 or less. It's got to have a pocket clip, it's got to be tip up, and it's got to have a locking mechanism. That locking mechanism is for safety, and tip up is just to give it the best chance it could possibly have at being a good knife for me. I hate tip down carry, but we all live in sin. So everything on this series came from Temu. The wife went through and picked most of them out. I think I might have picked 1 or 2. But she had fun finding these things, and those 4 criteria make it hard to find dirt cheap knives. They're almost always tipped down, almost always. And so she was on there scrolling for 45 minutes to an hour to sometimes 2 hours to find one viable candidate. And clones may show up. We sent back all the clones that we could identify and find until it got to be too far in to go back. You know, we ran out of time to wait 2-3 weeks for another one to come in. So if they show up, I apologize. I'm anti-clone, but this is Temu, and I did what I could. This is going to be a lot of fun for the next 10 weeks. And the first week that I carried these, I carried this one. And this is a gentleman style knife, and I call anything shaped like this a gentleman style knife, especially with the long, thin blade. But let's take a look at it. So you got what looks to be pack of wood inlays on a stainless steel frame. You got a pocket clip, which is tip up, and that is Lord's carry. You got a flipper tab, and of course, let's flick the bean. You got a liner lock. So one of the first things to mention is out of the box, this thing would not shave. It did not shave a single hair off, no matter how hard I ground in. It just wouldn't do it. The push cut test on newsprint, it kind of cut, kind of didn't. There's a little bit of tearing as much as cutting. The detent was rough, and the scales were loose, so I tightened down the pivot screw. I hate touching these things before I carry them. I want to give them all a fair shot straight out of the box, but this detent scared me. I had something open up and cut the hell out of me a few weeks ago, so now I'm a little bit paranoid. The other thing to mention, the inlays on the top are loose. They are just not seated in there right. And I think the only thing keeping them in is the pivot screw. This pocket clip, it moves so much. This thing is not put together well. And I may have mentioned it, but the flipper tab, or the liner lock, there's no recess to get your thumb into at all. So it really feels like you're about to chew part of your thumb up trying to get this thing closed again. But as I said, out of the box, no shave, no push cut. And the saran wrap cut at work. When you cut saran wrap off a pallet, a decent edge will cut through multiple layers, 2, 3, squished up after it's been wrapped around a pallet. But you hit that single layer, and any edge problems you have are going to show up because it's going to tear and not cut. A good edge will blast through a single layer like you're cutting water, no problem. This thing tore from top to bottom of the pallet. It just would not cut it. And it definitely did not handle that very well at all. It's not a good edge out of the factory. I put it through cardboard slayer, and it tore the cardboard as much as it cut it, especially going even slightly off center of the grain. It just tore through it. And that's a little bit of a surprise. Let's flick the bean. Because this is some fairly narrow blade stock, and it's got a bit of a hollow grind. Like, even with a bad edge, it should have cut somewhat cleanly. If I got the edge alignment just perfect, it would cut it. But if it wasn't exactly perfect, it just tore through it instead of cutting it. And I was really disappointed to see that, because this should have been a decent cardboard slayer. But in the last series, the knives came out of the box pretty dang sharp. They handled cardboard slayer pretty well, but they would come out of the box shaving and push cutting paper, and I only pushed them until they stopped shaving and they stopped push cutting the paper cleanly. And so I didn't go as hard on them because we were just looking to see how long the edge had before it started deteriorating. These guys got pushed until the edge completely went, and this thing took 50 hard cuts. And I really, really pushed it. I mean, I was abusive as it gets on cardboard. 50 cuts. The knives in the last series, they all managed about 30 to 50 cuts before they just barely stopped shaving and push cutting paper. So that should give you a litmus here. This thing, after 50 cuts, wouldn't push cut paper anymore. It sure as hell ain't going to shave. Let's get a piece of newsprint and see what it does to that. We may get a cut out of perfect edge alignment. I'm not sure. But it is cutting. It's tearing more than that. And on copy paper, which I wish I had a piece, it just straight up ripped chunks out. It did not like it. Let's see, notebook paper. Maybe that'll do something. Yeah, you can hear that. It's tearing. So the edge is completely gone. The 50 cuts, that actually impressed me a little bit. I was expecting around 30. So that was a pleasant surprise. That's probably one of the only good things I can say about this thing, is it did cut more than I expected on Cardboard Slayer. That being said, carrying it, there was also some mild discomfort all day long, and there shouldn't have been. In the waistband, knives like this generally carry very, very comfortably. You know, I have no issues with them because they're so narrow and slim that they don't really dig in and rub hot spots. This one, however, was rubbing all day long. I felt it nonstop, and I don't know how. Nothing on this looks like it should be really digging or rubbing. However, I will say the edges of these scales right here where it should roll over aren't chamfered the best, but they should be chamfered well enough. Like, I don't know where that discomfort came from, but you know, it is what it is. It didn't carry great. It didn't cut great. The only thing that I can really say is the liner lock works. It locks up pretty securely. The detent held up. It didn't accidentally open in my pocket, and it cut more cardboard than I thought it would on Cardboard Slayer. Those are the only positives. Everything else about this is bad. It's just, so this thing is going to earn a solid 10th place. It was bordering on being worse than mistaking a colostomy bag for a Capri Sun, guys. I really hate this thing, and it earns 10th place right out of the gate. No other competitors, it takes 10th place. So this was this gentleman's style knife. I don't have a brand name, or I'd tell you what it was. The box did say Yoan me, and I've never Yoan'd someone before. I don't know what that is. Maybe one of you guys has Yoan'd somebody and you can tell me how to do it. What I do know is I do not consent, and I'm frightened. But this is the end of the first week of TEMUGEDDON. This just sucked. But all that being said, again, I hope you go back and look at the first season of this. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you enjoy following me along with this trip through Superbudget Showdown and TEMUGEDDON. And all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. No, thanks for looking at absolute crap. Thank you for your subscribers. You know, you guys are coming in all the time, and it's humbling, and I'm so grateful. Please subscribe if you haven't. We're doing more of this stuff. And thank you for the comments. They make things more fun for me. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.